Alrighty, YouTube. What is going on? Hope everybody's doing well, considering the virus has a hold of us. I wish I could get to know you in a slightly, well, from a slightly different or better way. But unfortunately, the circumstances are not that great. So, needless to say, due to the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever the heck you want to call it, I have plenty of spare time to spend with you and, well, among others. I'm a sound engineer by craft, and needless to say, because... Nice blinker, brother. Nice blinker. Needless to say, because of the virus and the lack of any kind of special events, concerts, or corporate meetings, I am out of a job for at least the next month and a half or more. So, nothing like unpaid vacations, but here we are. So we're going to go out for a little cruise today on my 2014 Ninja 300. I love this bike. For those of you who might be asking the question as to whether or not you should get one, there should be no question. Absolutely get one. And by get one, I mean any small displacement machine. If you're into the KTM 390, get that one. If you're, you know, all about the CBR 250 RR, whatever the heck it is, get that one. If you know, you're a Yamaha guy, get the R3. A buddy of mine had one. It was a nice machine. Definitely the Ninja 400 if you're into that. I like the Ninja. I don't see what everybody's complaint about it is. It's not that long in the tooth yet. And what I do like about it is, at least with the 300s, is they got the slipper clutch. Not that you need it, but couple of homies out on the road. Not that you need the slipper clutch in a 300, but it's actually not a bad feature. You put it to good use, or at least I put it to good use on occasion. Take you on a little putt up here on a road. It's called Rucker Road for us in Lompoc, California. I live in the armpit of Santa Barbara County. I don't mind it here. It's beautiful. You'll see a little bit more why it's so beautiful, but it's just a small town, not very affluent, but that's okay. Property's cheap, and I love that there's really oftentimes not much traffic. Oftentimes. So yeah, it's a small little town. No traffic. Not a whole lot of industry, so you know, there's just, it's quiet for the most part. And we got this wonderful little road that we can play on called Rucker Road. It's a short little road, good for getting your kicks off on. One of them to bite. There's a police station right there. I doubt it. Listen to that roar though, it's such a glorious sound. So I recently did a valve job on this thing. It was long overdue. And while I was in there, I decided to open up the air box and make it so it couldn't possibly be a choke point for the intake, and it definitely makes it sound a hell of a lot better. I kept the stock exhaust on just because I don't particularly care for the sound of a 2-cylinder parallel twin motorcycle, but now that you can hear the intake over the exhaust between the two, it almost sounds like a V4, which makes it sound a lot meaner than it probably really is. But it did open up a little bit of performance. There's a little more snap to it. I love this thing either way. I don't care how fast or slow it is. So another thing that people ask me is what, you know, the difference between a 300 and a 600. I started on a 600. I have a 2005 Yamaha R6 that's been converted into a track-only machine right now. But going from that to a 300, a lot of people ask, is it fun? Is it fast? Is it this? Is it that? I'll tell you what, I thought at first too that I would be underwhelmed or not impressed, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, just general lack of enthusiasm for the, you know, the lack of displacement. Not the case at all. I mean, yeah, it's not nearly as quick, but it goes just as fast in the parts where you're having the most fun at anyway. If you really have to do, you know, triple digits everywhere you go, then yeah, 300 is probably not for you. But honestly, this thing is just as fun. It goes plenty quick. It ticks off all of the buttons, put it that way. Oh, I saw a car, yep. Is there a leak in oil or something over here? What's going on? Road work ahead, probably. Came out on a bad day, apparently. This oil line wasn't here yesterday, and there wasn't any construction either. But yeah, absolutely amazing machines. It doesn't matter what the displacement is. If you ride to have fun, you'll have probably more fun on the 300 to be honest, or any smaller displacement machine, for a couple reasons. The smaller displacement machines can actually go through the churns faster, which you know, that's always a plus. I mean, if you can do something better and faster, why not, right? Oh man, they're doing all kinds of work, aren't they? And then still a little wet up here. Apparently got a little rainy or moist last night. I think this guy's gonna try to pull over for us here. How sweet of him, or her. We're gonna take advantage of it. Another upside to the smaller displacement bikes, as I was saying before, is that they, I didn't actually say it, but they have a more compliant suspension, I guess you would call it. The suspension on them is generally a lot softer. It's not as high-end as, of course, your 600cc and up sport bikes. So it just makes them a little more malleable to your, lack of a better way of putting it, your crappy riding habits. Or less than quality road that you're on. Another thing that's kind of nice about them too, that helps them out a lot, is their frames are pretty flexible. They're not as stiff as the real sport bikes, and it also gives them another, it gives them probably too much feedback, because if you're doing something wrong in the middle of a turn, it'll let you know by warbling around and moving and flexing and whatnot. So it kind of gives you that kind of feedback. But because it does that, it also is compliant or receptive to your bad riding habits. That was one of the first things I learned right away after I got on this thing, was that I was probably a little too aggressive on the machine. So in turns it would move around and wiggle and twitch and just do stuff, and it was just the machine saying, hey dude, knock it the hell off, you gotta play nice with me, I'm not one of your big bikes. So it helps a new rider kind of learn and get in shape real quick. I almost kind of wish I'd started on a 300. I think I probably would be a little bit better of a rider, but such is not the case. So that sounds amazing. I love this thing. So yeah, if you're into riding sport bikes, even for the thrill of it, the speed aspect, getting a 300 will really help kind of learn you some manners. I'm still a little aggressive. My riding style is more suited to a leader bike, to be honest. I kind of like to get it in the turn, get it stopped. I'm going to turn around up here. Get it stopped and then shoot it out if I can. To me, it's just the way to do it. But the 300cc's or smaller displacement bikes they kind of actually, we'll wait here for just a moment, we'll let everybody get away from me. But they like to be wound up and never slowed down. They just always want you to be on the go, go, go. So it essentially means that you have to learn to never be slow on the smaller displacement bikes. On the 600cc, you know, the middleweight bikes, it's kind of a cross between the two. You've got to learn how to get into the turn, of course, as fast as you can, and not lose too much speed, but then maintain that speed through the middle of the corner so you can use that momentum to get the drive out of the corner, which that was the thing I had the tough time with on the 600. And I'm no slouch by any means. I'm doing 2-minute laps over there, sub 2-minute laps at Buttonwillow. So I'm no slouch, but I'm certainly far from being the fastest guy on the track. But the 1000cc bikes, obviously, you've got gooey gobs of power. So you can get into a turn, practically stop the machine, and it doesn't really penalize you too much. And the bigger the bike, of course, the slower it goes through the turn. I think we got enough distance now to do this. through here. These tires ain't that warm yet. The road's pretty cold too. It was cold here last night. It was under 40 degrees. Which I guess for some of you isn't really all that cold, but for us that's freezing. Woo, big bumps. That's the only one downside of this road. Gotta mind your P's and Q's in a few spots. Shut it down over here. We got that construction coat coming up. Don't want to get them all worried, so I'm sure they can hear me. I think that's probably one of the biggest things to be mindful of. Actually, we'll just talk about it briefly, is the mindset that you have when you're riding a motorcycle. I believe you got to have the right mindset. It's just kind of self-preservation 101, more or less. You got to be looking ahead. You have to know your surroundings. You have to have your head on a swivel. You have to be aware. And with anything on a motorcycle, most of that comes from looking ahead. You've got to have all the information you can possibly absorb, put into your head at all times. And that's probably what'll keep you out of 90% of the problems you end up in. If you feel like you're hunting for a decision, or you feel like you're always going too fast, or that you're going too fast for the corner, this, that, or the other, if you always, more or less, if you feel like you're going too fast at all, it's because you're not looking far enough ahead. Part two to that is that you failed or did not make a decision as to what you were going to do prior to your need to do it. So if you're looking ahead and you have made a decision at where your braking point will be before you get there, then it won't seem like a surprise when all of a sudden it's, I need to slow down, because you'll already know that I need to slow down. And then of course you should still be looking through your turn, so before you actually need to turn, you'll already have your turn-in point figured out, and you'll execute that. And of course by then you'll still be looking far enough through the turn that you'll know where your apex is at before you get there, which then again means that you'll be able to go there and start making the apex on the turn and getting back on the gas. Just as a general rule for motorcycles, they love to be on the gas as often as possible. More or less just when to get on the gas ASAP, or when in doubt, gas it. Obviously on a motorcycle you don't want to get too greedy or ham-fisted, but it doesn't hurt to at least pull some gradual throttle in at any given point. Just the earlier you can get back on the gas and start slowly accelerating, the better. Secondary to that would just be smoothness. But really, with just those two rules alone, it'll resolve most all of your problems with riding a motorcycle, especially associated to the fear side of things. Just look further ahead and then make decisions about what you're going to do prior to getting there. If you don't know the road that well, slow down a little bit. Make sure you take it in. Another thing that a lot of riders talk about is squaring the turn up, which is coming into the corner from the outside and waiting as long as you can, you know, coming in late on the turn, and then turning as quickly as you can, which as quickly as you can just means, you know, as fast as you can make the direction change you need to. But what this allows you to do is, A, because you're coming in on the outside of the turn, it gives you that much longer to start or to slow down. So you're going slower when you actually initiate the turn. Part B to that is that because you're deeper into the turn, you can now also see further through it, which then means, of course, you can see what's on the other side, which is always a good thing. So that reduces your, you know, your fear factor. And then it just opens up more possibilities for different lines. Most turns, not all turn types, require, you know, at least one particular line to make it the best line it can be. But since most turns aren't your scary decreasing radius type turns, you know, you don't have to worry about it as much. So if you go in late on the if you go into the turn with a late apex in mind, generally you spend a little less time leaned over, and you can start picking the bike up a little bit sooner, especially if you can get the bike to change direction really fast. That's the big trick, honestly. It's learning how quick you can make the bike turn. And if you don't already understand what counter steering is in order to make that a possibility, then this probably isn't the video for you. But check out other videos on counter steering. I might do one day. I mean, I can kind of show you right now, but it doesn't really hold much value for you, I don't think, at this point, because I don't have the tools to actually show you what is actually going on. Oh, sinuses are a little peeved today. But if you already haven't noticed how beautiful it is in this area, we live in a valley here, and it's just green everywhere right now. Just gorgeous today. Hardly a cloud in the sky. The temperature is just comfy. Loving it. It's a beautiful day. Even the coronavirus can live in the air. Something else you may not have noticed, or maybe you did, was that I use all 4 fingers for braking. I find it to just be the best way to do it. I put it in neutral against better judgment, but I can see the car behind me has already come to a nice complete stop and give me plenty of space, so I'm not too worried at the moment. But yeah, I like using all 4 fingers. I feel you get just a little bit more control. I know some people are stuck on silly with the idea of 1 finger or 2 finger braking, but I don't think it has much value. Valentino Rossi uses all 4 fingers, so it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. I just feel like you get more modulation control. If you need to slam on the brakes, obviously you know you can, because you got all the power in the world. Aside from that, you know, if you just need light pressure, it's just a little kind of oxymoronic, but a little more effortless. There you have it, just a little putt around my neighborhood. You got to see Rucker Road in all of its glory, sans the construction or tree cutting or tree trimming that they're doing. You got to hear the glorious sound of a Ninja 300 with an opened up air box. This is pretty much what it would sound like if you had a pod, I would imagine. Something else I did, maybe you'll notice, is that I don't have any wobbles on my handlebars anymore. which I guess you never knew I had them before. I have the all balls steering head bearings in here now, the tapered roller bearings. Sorry. Definitely worth every penny. It's probably the cheapest 35-40 bucks that you can spend on an upgrade part. Once you get those installed, the tapered steering head bearings, oh man, it's just night and day difference. So much better. I also put the Iridium spark plugs in this thing when I did the valve job, and I don't know if it did anything. This thing certainly runs a heck of a lot better than it did when, you know, I had let it lax to 30,000 miles or thereabouts. But like I said, that valve job was long overdue. Not too complicated of a task. Definitely do it if you're somewhat mechanically inclined. It took me, oh gosh, I guess a full day. I didn't have all the parts at the same time, so it took me a couple days to do it because I had to wait for parts. But once I actually got going, it's something I could probably do now in a day, now that I know it. By a day, I mean like an 8 to 10 hour time frame. Half the battle is just getting all the darn plastics off and all the crap out of the way. Once you get in there, it's a lot easier to deal with. Yeah, I'm a happy camper. But anyway, folks, I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. I hope you're stocked up on TP. I failed miserably to do so. I was actually out on a show when all hell started breaking loose, and yeah, I didn't get to the store in time to get all my TP needs taken care of. So I'm actually, first time ever in my life, I never thought I'd have to go there, but I am ordering toilet paper from places online. It's craziness, I tell you, it's craziness. Just the bread aisles and all these, come on everybody, you're gonna be able to get food at any given point in time. But the TP thing is just ridiculous. I don't know how many poops people take in a day, but holy cow. Can't imagine that many need to go through that much TP at any given point in time. But I'll tell you what I do have that no one else got around me: bullets. I got in early on that one, so I guess all the gun stores and shops and stuff around here are starting to clear out of all that stuff. But all I can say is don't go to war with me, because I got plenty, and I probably won't need any of them. Well, or many of them. But all kidding aside, everybody take care. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.